I'm Emily Carter, 30 years old. 6 short words from my sister shattered my dream vacation and drained $13,500 from my savings. Cancel Italy or Dad gets hurt. Those words arrived in a text at 2:47 a.m., just 3 days before my flight to Rome. A trip I'd saved for all year, planned down to every museum ticket and dinner reservation. I believed her. I trusted her. Within 25 minutes, I wired every dollar of my vacation fund into her account. 3 days later, as I sat at my desk eating a sad little salad, champagne glasses clinked in photos on Instagram. There she was, my sister, her husband, and his entire family, smiling on the deck of a Royal Caribbean cruise, toasting their well-deserved break, paid for with the money I thought was saving our dad. But what happened at my promotion dinner 2 months later made her regret every stolen cent. Before I dive in, please take a second to like and subscribe, only if you truly enjoy stories like this. I'd also love to know where you're watching from and what time it is there. Now let me tell you how family betrayal taught me the most expensive lesson of my life. The Capitol Grill downtown had never looked more elegant. Crystal chandeliers cast warm light over the tables. More than 40 guests gathered to celebrate my promotion to senior marketing director. My company had reserved the private dining room, with floor-to-ceiling windows framing the city skyline. Colleagues raised their glasses. My new boss, Amanda Lewis, offered a toast about my leadership, and for the first time in months, everything felt perfect. Then Lauren Bradley walked in. A chill moved through me. My sister arrived 30 minutes late, early, by her standards. She swept through the doorway in a sequined dress that caught every glimmer of light, her newly bleached hair styled in expensive-looking waves. Behind her, Brad followed in a too-tight suit, scanning the room like he was sizing up everyone's net worth. "There's my successful baby sister," Lauren Bradley's voice carried across the entire room, silencing conversations. She air-kissed her way toward me, trailing a heavy perfume. "Sorry we're late," she announced. "Traffic from the good side of town was awful." Amanda Lewis raised an eyebrow. Tom from accounting whispered something to his wife. The room shifted with that particular tension you feel when uninvited drama enters a professional space. Lauren Bradley snatched a champagne flute from a passing server without even a glance. "Brad, honey, look at this spread. Madison's company really knows how to spend money," she said with a laugh, the exact laugh she used before setting up a public manipulation. "Speaking of which, Madison," she continued, "we need to talk about that family matter. You know, the ongoing situation." My stomach tightened. She'd chosen this moment deliberately. 40 witnesses, including my new boss, several VPs, and even the CEO, who had made a surprise appearance. But as I watched her adjust her new Hermes bag, strange, considering she'd been crying poverty last month, I felt oddly calm. I had been preparing for this moment for 8 weeks. "Family takes care of family, right, Madison?" Lauren Bradley positioned herself at the center of the room for maximum attention. "I mean, that's what Dad always taught us." The mention of our father turned several relatives' heads. Aunt Patricia put down her fork. Cousin James froze mid-sentence. "Especially," Lauren Bradley added, her voice rising, "when some family members have been blessed with such abundance." She gestured at the elegant room. "This promotion must come with quite the salary bump. What is it now, Madison? 6 figures more." Brad stepped forward, adding his rehearsed support. "Family is everything. Those who have more should naturally help those who have sacrificed to care for aging parents." Amanda Lewis watched carefully, evaluating me. This was my first major event as senior director. How I handled this would matter. "It's been so hard," Lauren Bradley pressed on, her voice taking on that martyred tone I knew too well. "While Madison's been climbing the corporate ladder, someone had to be there for Dad, every doctor's appointment, every emergency, every sleepless night." "That's admirable," Amanda Lewis said politely, though her expression stayed neutral. Lauren Bradley saw her opening. "Thank you. It's been financially devastating, honestly. But that's what family does. We show up, even when others are too busy with their Italian vacations and career ambitions. The jab about Italy made my grip tighten around the water glass. A few colleagues, aware of my canceled trip, exchanged knowing glances. I glanced at my phone. 8:47 p.m. David Collins should arrive any minute. He'd texted that he was parking. "So, Madison," Lauren Bradley said, her voice loud enough for everyone to hear. "About the monthly support we discussed, $2,000 seems fair for Dad's care, don't you think?" The room seemed to hold its breath. Watching Lauren Bradley command the space, I remembered exactly how we ended up here. Growing up, I'd always been the good daughter, the one who stayed quiet, who accepted whatever story I was told. Lauren Bradley, 4 years older, had cemented her role as the family gatekeeper when she moved back home after her divorce 5 years ago. "I'm here with Mom and Dad," she'd remind me. "You're 3 states away. You don't see what I see." She managed the flow of information like a corporate PR director. When Dad had a mild stroke 2 years ago, I didn't hear about it until 3 days later. "Didn't want to worry you during your big presentation," she'd explained. When Mom passed, Lauren Bradley handled all the arrangements, then sent me a bill for half. Her refrain was constant: "You live too far to understand Dad's real needs." Every family decision was made without me. Doctor's appointments scheduled at times I couldn't join by video. Financial discussions too complicated to explain over the phone. Home repairs always urgent, always expensive, always requiring immediate payment. The pattern was consistent. I was good enough to fund things, but too distant to have a say. Lauren Bradley had cast herself as the sacrificial caregiver, painting me as the absent, career-obsessed sister who only contributed money. The truth, Dad had a full-time home health aide covered by his excellent insurance. Lauren Bradley visited twice a week at most, usually just to drop off groceries, which she later billed to me. Yet at every family gathering, she made it sound as if she were practically living at his house, sacrificing her own life for his care. And for so long, I believed her. Sent money whenever she asked. Felt guilty about my distance, my career, my choices, until 8 weeks ago when those cruise photos changed everything. But I wasn't the naive younger sister anymore. The manipulation had escalated over the past 2 years, following a pattern I'd been too trusting to see. December 2022, Dad needs emergency dental surgery. I sent $3,000 the day before my company Christmas party. Later, I found out his dental insurance covered everything. March 2023, the roof is leaking. Dad could get sick from mold. $5,000 wired during my birthday weekend in Nashville. The roof had already been replaced under warranty. July 2023, Dad fell, needs private physical therapy. $4,000 sent while I closed the biggest deal of my career. Dad's Medicare covered all therapy. November 2023, house needs wheelchair modifications. $8,000 transferred the week of Thanksgiving. Dad was walking fine with his cane. February 2024, Dad's medications aren't covered anymore. $2,500 sent monthly for 3 months. His VA benefits had covered everything. Each crisis perfectly timed. Always when I had something important planned. Always framed as life or death. Always forcing me to choose between being a good daughter and living my own life. "You're not here," Lauren Bradley would remind me. "You don't see him struggling like I do." The guilt was her sharpest weapon. Every family video call, she'd position Dad in poor lighting to make him look frailer. Every conversation was laced with mentions of her sacrifices: job offers declined, social life abandoned, health ruined by stress. What she didn't know was that I'd saved every email, every text, every wire transfer. At first for tax purposes, but after the Italy incident, those records became something else entirely. My phone buzzed. "Walking in now," David texted. I looked up at the entrance as David Collins appeared, tall, composed, leather briefcase in hand. Dad's best friend since college, his most trusted advisor. And for the past 8 weeks, my secret weapon. This time was different. Standing there in the glow of my own celebration, watching Lauren Bradley perform her martyrdom, I calculated the real cost of my silence. $45,000 over 3 years. Not loans. Gifts. Family doesn't keep tabs, Lauren Bradley would always say, while keeping meticulous tabs on everyone else's obligations. That money could have been a down payment on a house, an investment, a safety net I'd never had, but the financial loss wasn't even the worst part. Madison, always been focused on her career, Lauren Bradley had told Amanda Lewis, my new boss, with a sympathetic smile. Some people are built for family, others for spreadsheets. No judgment, of course. Amanda Lewis's expression shifted slightly. In corporate America, being labeled as someone who abandons family for career was poison. It suggested unreliability, questionable values, lack of balance. The other VPs were listening closely now. The CEO, charming just 5 minutes ago, had shifted to a cold, appraising stare. My reputation was being shredded in real time at my own promotion dinner. Tom from accounting leaned toward his wife, whispering loud enough for others to catch something about family drama. The new interns from my department looked awkward, unsure where to look. The regional director, my best chance at the Singapore project, was frowning. This was Lauren Bradley's real power move. Not just the money she could wring out of me, but the story she was planting. Madison, the selfish sister. Madison, the absent daughter. Madison, who put ambition over family. That narrative would cling to me in every professional relationship in this room. If I stayed silent tonight, I'd be financing Lauren Bradley indefinitely, while carrying the scarlet letter of bad daughter in my own professional circle. Every future promotion would come with whispers. Every success would feel tainted. I caught David's eye as he sat down. He gave me the slightest nod. This ends tonight. If you've ever been manipulated by family using guilt as a weapon, you know exactly what I felt in that moment. The hardest part isn't the money, it's the betrayal by people who should protect you. Have you experienced something like this? Share your story in the comments below. And if this resonates with you, hit that like button. It really helps others who need to hear this find the video. Now let me show you exactly how the Italy cancellation unfolded. The text that destroyed my Italian dream came at 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday. Call me now, followed immediately by, emergency, dad in danger. I jolted awake, heart pounding, and called immediately. Lauren Bradley was sobbing, the kind of sob that sounds frantic but stops perfectly between sentences. Dad owes money to dangerous people, she gasped. They came to the house tonight. What's who, Dad? He's terrified. He won't tell me everything, but it's $13,500. They gave him 72 hours or else. My mind raced. Dad had always been careful with money. Dangerous people. Dad doesn't even gamble. It's complicated, she said. Something about a business loan from before Mom died. These aren't bank people, Madison. They knew where he lives. They mentioned us by name. We need to call the police, I said. No, her panic sounded real. They said no police or it gets worse. Madison, I'm scared. I can't lose Dad, too. The mention of Mom was perfectly timed. My head was spinning. I have maybe $2,000 in savings, Lauren Bradley continued. Brad, between jobs, you're the only one who can help. I know you've saved for Italy. Italy, my dream trip. Flights booked, hotels reserved, museum passes lined up. Just 3 days away. They said 72 hours or they'll hurt him. Madison, cancel Italy or lose Dad. The choice felt like no choice at all. What kind of daughter picks a vacation over her father's safety? Send me the account information, I heard myself say. 20 minutes later, $13,500 left my account, the entire Italy fund plus my emergency savings. The confirmation email came through instantly. Transfer completed. Lauren Bradley texted, You saved Dad's life. He'll pay you back as soon as this is resolved. 3 days later, she was toasting champagne on a cruise ship. The Instagram post popped up as I sat at my desk. eating lunch and mourning my canceled trip. Finally living our best life, blessed family time cruise life. She stood on a balcony suite deck, Brad's arms wrapped around her, Caribbean blue stretching endlessly behind them. Her in-laws flanked them, drinks raised, smiling. The timestamp, posted 3 hours ago. My hands shook as I scrolled through photo after photo. Deluxe beverage package wristbands, specialty restaurant reservations, spa appointments, the $300 per person dolphin excursion in Grand Cayman. The comments made it worse. Brad's mom wrote, "Thanks for treating us to this amazing trip. You two are so generous." Lauren Bradley replied, "Family deserves the best. We've been saving so long for this." And then the gut punch. Dad commented, "Have fun, kids, looks beautiful." Dad, the man supposedly terrified, in danger, owing money to threatening people, casually commenting on Facebook about the pretty ocean view. I called him immediately. "Hi, sweetie, how work?" "Dad, are you okay? Are you safe?" "Of course, why wouldn't I be?" "The money you owed, the dangerous people." Silence, then confusion. "What money, what people?" "Madison, what are you talking about?" My stomach dropped through the floor. "Lauren Bradley said you owed $13,500. That people came to the house, that you were in danger." "What?" His voice sharpened. "Madison, I don't owe anyone money. I hadn't taken out a loan in 15 years, and no one ever came to the house except the Meals on Wheels lady. The room spun when she said, 72 hours or else." I'd already sent her $13,500. Dad stayed silent for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was like ice. "She's on a cruise right now. She posted pictures this morning." That's when I called David Collins. David answered on the second ring. "Madison, your father said you might call." "Mr. Collins, I need legal advice. It's about Lauren Bradley and some money. Come to my office today if you can." 2 hours later, I sat across from my dad's best friend since their University of Michigan days. David had built a thriving practice specializing in family law and financial fraud. His office walls were lined with 40 years of legal victories. "Show me everything," he said simply. I pulled up the emails, text messages, and the wire transfer confirmation. David studied them with the focus of someone who'd seen this kind of scheme before. "This email," he said, pointing at the screen. "The one where she confirms receiving the money," read the third paragraph. I'd never noticed it before. Hidden in her rambling thanks, "I understand this is a loan to be repaid within 90 days as discussed." "She never reads the fine print," David murmured. Then he gave a small smile. "You wrote this, didn't you?" "I always include terms in my transfer confirmations," I said. "It's a habit from work." "A smart habit," David said. "This creates a legal obligation." She acknowledged it by replying, "Received with thanks and agreement." He pulled out a legal pad. "Your father," been worried about Lauren Bradley's spending. "He asked me to review some things last month. Did you know he gave me financial power of attorney 3 years ago?" I didn't. He wanted someone outside the family, someone who couldn't be emotionally manipulated, to step in if necessary. David's face turned serious. "Madison, your father has significant assets. Lauren Bradley's been trying to tap into them with this cruise money scheme. It's escalating." "What kind of assets?" "Let's just say your mother's life insurance and your father's pension are both substantial. And there's more. Your dad been documenting everything. He's sharper than Lauren Bradley thinks." My phone buzzed. Lauren Bradley, texting from the ship, "Hope you're not bitter about Italy. Some sacrifices are necessary." David saw my face. "Save that, we'll need it." 8 weeks of preparation led to tonight. "We need documentation," David had said. "And witnesses, lots of witnesses." The promotion dinner invitation had been perfect timing. 40 guests, including several who worked in legal and finance. A professional setting with security cameras, public enough for accountability, controlled enough for dignity. "Invite Lauren Bradley personally," David advised. Make it irresistible. My text to her was carefully crafted, having a celebration dinner for my promotion. Companies paying for an exclusive venue. Would love family there to celebrate. You and Brad should come. Open bar and 5-course meal. She responded within minutes. Of course, we'll support you. Family shows up. The irony wasn't lost on me. I arranged the seating strategically. David at a table with clear sight lines. My colleague from Legal Affairs, Patricia Chen, nearby. The restaurant manager, discreetly briefed, made sure security cameras were functioning and well-positioned. What if she doesn't bring it up? I'd ask David. She will. The promotion, the public setting, the audience, she won't resist. It's the perfect stage for maximum guilt and pressure. He'd been right. I'd also prepared something special. My laptop, already connected to the restaurant's presentation screen for the promotion slideshow, held a folder labeled Family Memories. Inside were documents telling a very different story from Lauren Bradley's narrative. Perfect, Lauren Bradley had texted that morning. Brad's coming, too. We have something important to discuss. Of course they did. They always had something important to discuss when they smelled money. Now, watching David settle into his seat while Lauren Bradley held court, I felt the calm that only comes with thorough preparation. Every document backed up in triplicate, every email archived, every legal requirement met. Lauren Bradley wanted an audience for her performance. She was about to get one. Lauren Bradley rose from her seat, gently tapping her champagne glass. The chatter faded, everyone assuming another cheerful toast was coming. I hate to mix family matters with celebration, she began, though her tone suggested she didn't hate it at all. But some things just can't wait. Amanda Lewis, my boss, set her fork down. The CEO leaned back, eyes narrowing. Everyone sensed a shift. While Madison's been achieving all this professional success, Lauren Bradley gestured around the room, some of us have been carrying the unseen load, the daily caregiving, the sacrifices of our own dreams. Lauren Bradley, I murmured softly, this isn't the time. When is the time, Madison? Her voice sharpened. You're always too busy, too many meetings, too many business trips. She turned to the room. Our father is 78. He needs constant care, medications, doctor visits, someone to make sure he eats. Brad and I gave up everything. Lauren Bradley gave up her career to care for him. We've drained our savings. While Emily climbs the corporate ladder, we're drowning under the weight of caregiving costs. A hush fell. Lauren Bradley's voice trembled dramatically. Success makes some people forget family, but care facilities cost $4,000 a month. Home health aides, medical equipment, it all adds up. Relatives shifted uncomfortably. Aunt Patricia whispered to Uncle James. Judgment filled the air, successful sister ignoring her family's needs while their father suffered. We're not asking for much, Lauren Bradley said, louder now. Just $2,000 a month. That's probably what Emily spends on designer handbags. Her eyes flicked toward mine. I've never owned a single designer handbag. Family takes care of family, she repeated, voice rising. Or at least they should. The room was silent, 40 pairs of eyes on me. My professional reputation hung in the balance. Lauren Bradley pulled out her phone. Should I show everyone the cruise we took? The one tiny break we've had in 3 years of non-stop caregiving. She swiped through her screen, projecting martyrdom with every gesture. Look at this, Dad's birthday 3 years ago. Who was there? Me. She showed a photo to the nearest table. Last Christmas, me. Easter, me again. I noticed the photos were carefully chosen, all from the same few visits, posted at different times on social media to create the illusion of constant presence. Brad stepped forward, addressing the CEO directly. Family is everything, right? I'm sure you understand, sir. Those of us who stay close see the daily struggles. Emily wouldn't know. She moved away for her career. Colleagues shifted uncomfortably. The narrative was forming. Heartless career woman abandons aging father. These are from last month, Lauren Bradley continued, flashing more photos. Dad's medical appointments. Guess who took him? Not Madison. Aunt Patricia nodded, murmuring sympathy. Exactly, Lauren Bradley said. And now with this promotion, Madison's making what, 200,000 more, while we go into debt to keep Dad safe and comfortable. My actual salary wasn't even close, but correcting her would sound defensive. We've had to sell things, Brad added solemnly. Family heirlooms, my car, but we do it because that's what love looks like. Amanda Lewis watched me carefully, weighing every move. The Singapore project lead was clearly reconsidering. 2 interns looked like they wanted to vanish. Lauren Bradley moved closer. I have all the receipts, Madison. 3 years of expenses you've ignored, doctor visits you've missed, medications you haven't paid for. She placed her phone on the table, showing a photo of Dad looking frail. This was last week. While you planned this party, I was managing his new heart medication. The photo was 3 years old. Dad's hair had been darker then, though she'd used a filter to hide it. This was the moment everything shifted. When someone tries to publicly humiliate you, thinking you'll crumble under pressure, they forget one thing: truth is more powerful than manipulation. If you're finding value in this story, consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell. I share real-life stories about boundaries and standing up for yourself every week. What would you have done in my position? Tell me in the comments. Now, here's the part Lauren Bradley never saw coming. I stood slowly, reaching for my laptop. Let's talk about facts, shall we? The presentation screen behind me, once filled with congratulatory messages, flickered to a new display. Email threads appeared, dates clearly visible. February 15th, 2:47 a.m., I clicked the first email. Lauren Bradley wrote, Dad owes dangerous people money. Need $13,500 in 72 hours or else. My response, wire transfer confirmation, same day. Gasps rippled through the room. Lauren Bradley's face drained of color. February 18th, 3 days later, I clicked again. A Royal Caribbean booking confirmation, $13,200. Booked by Lauren Bradley the same day, using the exact amount I'd transferred. Cruise photos filled the screen, Lauren Bradley and Brad raising champagne glasses. The timestamp showed them already at sea, while she was still texting me about Dad's ongoing danger. But here's the interesting part. I clicked again. Dad's comment on those cruise photos. Have fun, kids. Strange words from someone supposedly in fear for his life. Amanda Lewis leaned forward. The CEO slid on his reading glasses, every eye fixed on the screen. March through April, more emails appeared. Lauren Bradley requesting monthly support for Dad's care. But look at these bank statements, I said. Dad's account, managed by David Collins under financial power of attorney, filled the screen. Steady deposits, healthy balances, Medicare payments, pension deposits, VA benefits, every medical expense covered, every prescription paid by insurance, home health aid fully funded by his policy. I paused, letting it sink in. So, where did my $45,000 over 3 years actually go? The next slide answered that question. Screenshots of Lauren Bradley's social media. New cars, vacations, shopping sprees, each perfectly timed after my emergency transfers. Lauren Bradley stood frozen, her mouth opening and closing without a sound. Shall we discuss the receipts now? I asked calmly. David Collins rose from his table, his presence commanding instant respect. Perhaps I should introduce myself, he said smoothly. David Collins, senior partner at Collins and Associates. I've been the Carter family's legal advisor for 30 years. Lauren Bradley's face went from pale to ashen. David paused, his voice steady but firm as he stepped toward the center of the room. I'm Thomas Carter's appointed financial power of attorney, he said, a role Thomas had asked him to take 3 years ago to protect him from possible exploitation. David reached into his briefcase and pulled out a stack of documents. Ms. Bradley, he continued, you've claimed your father owes dangerous people money. I can tell you with absolute certainty, having full access to his financial records, that Thomas Carter has no debts. None. His credit report, which I pulled yesterday, shows no loans, no credit cards, no obligations of any kind. Brad opened his mouth to speak, but David raised a hand to stop him. Furthermore, those so-called threatening visitors you described, Thomas's home is equipped with a Ring doorbell system I personally helped install. I've reviewed every clip from February. No unusual visitors, no threats, nothing but the Meals on Wheels volunteer and the mailman. The room fell silent. "This, Mrs. Bradley," David said, his voice carrying the weight of 4 decades of legal practice, "is wire fraud. Using false pretenses to obtain money through electronic transfer is a federal crime, up to 20 years in prison and fines reaching $1 million. You can't prove," Lauren Bradley began. "Your own email," David interrupted smoothly, "acknowledges receiving the funds and confirms your agreement to repay them within 90 days. That was 60 days ago. The payment is now due." He placed a document on the table. "This is a formal demand for repayment." Amanda Lewis leaned toward the CEO, whispering something. Phones were lifted. The intern's table looked stunned. "But there's more," David said, his tone turning darker. "Shall we discuss the $78,000 you withdrew from your father's accounts before I assumed oversight?" My phone buzzed, Dad calling. I'd been expecting it. "Put him on speaker," David suggested. Dad's voice filled the room, clear and strong, nothing like the frail victim Lauren Bradley had painted. "Madison, is everyone there?" "Yes, Dad, you're on speaker." "Good, Lauren Bradley, I know you're listening." His tone was disappointed, yet steady. "I need everyone to hear this directly from me. I am not in danger. I have never owed money to dangerous people. I am financially secure and well cared for." "Daddy, you don't understand," Lauren Bradley tried. "I understand perfectly," Dad said. "You told Emily I was in danger to steal her vacation money. You've been taking money from her for 3 years using my name. That ends tonight." The room was riveted. This wasn't just family drama, it was a public unmasking. "I have copies of every text you sent Madison," Dad continued. "Every fake emergency, every altered photo where you used filters to make me look sick. I also have the real receipts, the ones showing my medical expenses are fully covered, not the doctored ones you sent her." "How did you?" Lauren Bradley whispered. "My Ring doorbell isn't the only camera," Dad said. "I installed a full security system after Mom passed. I have video of you and Brad in my office going through my files, photographing my medical cards. I have audio of you planning your next emergency." Gasps rippled through the room. Aunt Patricia covered her mouth. Relatives who had supported Lauren Bradley just minutes ago now pulled away. "I'm disappointed in you, Lauren Bradley," Dad said quietly. "Your mother would be heartbroken. Emily has been nothing but generous, and you've repaid her with lies and theft." Lauren Bradley's knees seemed to buckle. She sank into a chair, her face crumbling. But Dad wasn't finished. David slid another document across the table. "This is a repayment agreement, $13,500 within 30 days. Sign now, or we file charges Monday morning." "I can't pay that back," Lauren Bradley whispered. "You had money for a cruise," I said softly. "You'll find money for this," David added, his tone precise. "The wire fraud charge alone carries up to 5 years in federal prison. Add conspiracy with your husband, interstate fraud since Emily lives in another state, and elder abuse for using your father's name. We're looking at 15 years. Brad snatched up the papers. "This is extortion." "No," David corrected. "Extortion is threatening someone's father to steal $13,500. This is a legal remedy to fraud. Your choice. Sign and repay, or explain to a federal judge why you thought this was acceptable." The CEO of my company spoke up. "I can confirm our legal department will fully support Miss Carter in pursuing criminal charges. We take fraud seriously, especially when it affects our employees." Amanda Lewis added, "Our corporate counsel will be happy to assist Mr. Collins if needed." The walls were closing in. Lauren Bradley's eyes darted around the room, finding no sympathy. Even Brad's parents, invited at the last minute, looked disgusted. 30 days, I said, locking eyes with Lauren Bradley. Not 31, not 60, 30 or David files charges. Lauren Bradley's hand trembled as she signed. Brad signed as co-guarantor, his face purple with rage. One more thing, David said, his tone crisp. Any further contact with Emily outside of this repayment constitutes harassment. Any defamation on social media or elsewhere will result in additional civil action. Are we clear? Lauren Bradley only nodded, mute. I need verbal confirmation, David pressed. Clear, she croaked. Mr. Bradley. Yeah, clear, Brad muttered. David gathered the signed documents. 30 days. Lauren Bradley erupted like a volcano that had been building pressure for years. She shot up from her chair, knocking over a glass of water. You've ruined everything, she shouted. Everything. The professional atmosphere shattered as guests drew back, watching Lauren Bradley's composure dissolve completely. I gave up my life for this family, my career, my dreams. Her voice was shaking now, mascara streaking down her face. You got to walk away. You got to build your perfect life while I was stuck here. Brad reached for her arm. Lauren Bradley, stop. She jerked away, eyes blazing. No, she needs to hear this. Madison, the perfect daughter. Madison, the shining success story. You have no idea what it's like. Ma'am, please calm down. The restaurant manager appeared, security close behind. Lauren Bradley spun toward the crowded room. She's tearing her own sister apart over money she doesn't even need. As she flung her arms, her Hermes bag tumbled from the table, scattering its contents. An authenticity card drifted to the floor, except it wasn't real. It was a cheap, poorly printed replica, the kind that comes with $20 knockoffs from Canal Street. A laugh rippled through the crowd, then another. The facade was crumbling in real time. This isn't over, Lauren Bradley shrieked as Brad finally pulled her toward the door. You'll regret this, Madison. Family doesn't forget. No, I said, calm but clear enough for everyone to hear. Family doesn't steal. Security guided them out, while Lauren Bradley's screams echoed through the restaurant. Through the windows, we watched her in the parking lot, still shouting, still gesturing, while Brad tried to usher her into their car, a leased BMW already 3 months behind on payments. The room stayed silent for a long, stunned moment. Then, slowly, someone began to clap. Within 12 hours, the video went viral. Someone at table 6 had filmed everything. The meltdown, the fake Hermes reveal, the dramatic exit. By morning, it had 300,000 views on TikTok under the caption. Sister tries to shake down sibling at promotion dinner, gets exposed. The fallout was swift. Lauren Bradley's church Facebook group, where she'd painted herself as a selfless caregiver, saw the clip. The comments were brutal. We took up a collection for her last month. She said her sister abandoned the family. I gave her $500 for her father's medicine. Her essential oils, business family, began jumping ship. 17 downline distributors left within 3 days. Her Instagram, carefully curated to show sacrifice and struggle, bled followers overnight. Screenshots of her cruise, photos spread with biting captions. Brad's employer, a regional bank, got calls questioning whether someone tied to fraud should work in their mortgage department. HR launched an investigation Monday morning. The extended family group chat exploded. Cousins who had loaned Lauren Bradley money over the years suddenly demanded it back. Aunt Patricia revealed she'd given Lauren Bradley $8,000 for Dad's emergency surgery. Uncle James mentioned $5,000 for house repairs that never happened. The total was staggering, nearly $100,000 taken from family using Dad's name. She told me you refused to help, Cousin Linda texted. She said you didn't care about Dad. Every lie was unraveling, every manipulation exposed. But the real consequences were just beginning. Tuesday morning, David called with news that changed everything. Madison, the IRS has questions about Lauren Bradley's unreported income. Day 29, a wire transfer hit my account. $13,500, memo line. Loan repayment as agreed. David called again. She took out a high-interest loan on their house, 23%, because their credits shot. The dominoes were falling fast. Their BMW was repossessed on day 15. Brad's mother, who'd co-signed their apartment lease, pulled her guarantee after watching the video. The IRS audit dug into 5 years of unreported gifts and so-called caregiving funds. Even their cruise, booked under tax-exempt support, was flagged. "You've ruined everything," Lauren Bradley texted from a blocked number. David screenshotted immediately. Violation of the no-contact agreement. Royal Caribbean denied their refund. Services rendered as purchased. The $8,000 they'd spent was gone forever. On day 21, Brad's bank fired him for violating the Employee Code of Financial Integrity. Without his income, they couldn't refinance the loan to a lower rate. The MLM formally terminated Lauren Bradley after multiple complaints of financial misrepresentation. Her $12,000 in essential oils, all bought on credit, sat unsold in their garage. And then came the final blow. The nursing home where Lauren Bradley claimed she volunteered daily called David. They'd seen the video. They wanted to clarify she had never once volunteered there, despite using their name in fundraising posts. Every lie had a cost, and the bill had come due. The first honest talk with Dad happened 3 days after the dinner. "I should have protected you better," he said over video call, voice heavy with regret. "I saw what Lauren Bradley was doing. I hoped she'd stop on her own." "You were protecting yourself too, Dad. She manipulated all of us." When Mom was sick, Lauren Bradley had promised to help. Instead, she was quietly taking money from Mom's purse, 20 here, 50 there. Mom knew, but didn't want to stir conflict. He paused. "I should have stopped it then." Everything shifted. Cousins who'd avoided me, thinking I was the cold, career-obsessed sister, began reaching out. "We had no idea" became the new refrain. She was so convincing. Thanksgiving arrived 6 months later, the first without Lauren Bradley. It was smaller, but it was infinitely more peaceful. Dad flew out to stay with me. His first trip in 3 years. He looked healthier than any photo Lauren Bradley had ever shared, walking 2 miles a day, mind sharp as ever. "I've updated my will," he told me over turkey. "David has everything documented. Lauren Bradley gets nothing, not out of anger, but because she's already taken far more than her share." Even the relatives who came were different. The quiet ones, once overshadowed by Lauren Bradley's theatrics, stepped forward. Aunt Patricia apologized for believing the lies. Uncle James arrived with his famous pie and stories about Dad's college years, stories I'd never heard because Lauren Bradley always dominated the room. "You know what I realized?" Dad said as we walked after dinner. "Lauren Bradley inherited your mother's anxiety, but none of her kindness. You got both her strength and her heart. For the first time in years, family felt like family, supportive, genuine, drama-free." "I'm proud of you," Dad said simply, "for standing up, for stopping the cycle." Setting boundaries had transformed everything. The new rule was clear: no family loans ever. If Dad needed something, it went through David with full documentation. If relatives faced emergencies, I offered information about resources, not cash. The First National Bank of Emily was permanently closed. I began therapy to unpack years of manipulation. "You were trained from childhood to be the provider," my therapist explained. "Lauren Bradley learned early that your guilt was currency." Seeing the pattern made it easier to break. Every urgent request became a red flag. Every guilt trip lost its power. No became a complete sentence, no justification, no apology. Work improved dramatically. A month after that dinner, Amanda Lewis pulled me aside. "That took courage," she said. Real leadership isn't just presentations and profits, it's standing for your principles even when it's uncomfortable. The Singapore project became mine. The promotion stuck. My reputation, instead of being damaged, soared. Someone who can handle that with such grace can handle anything, the CEO remarked. I created an emergency fund for Dad, a trust managed by David with strict guidelines. Medical needs only, every expense documented, no cash withdrawals. It protected Dad from future exploitation while ensuring his real needs were met. Therapy revealed something else. I'd been buying love, thinking money equaled care. But real love has no price tag. It shows up in phone calls, visits, genuine concern, things Lauren Bradley never offered despite living just 25 minutes away. 6 months later, I finally felt free from guilt, free from manipulation, free from the endless cycle of crisis and payment. Boundaries aren't walls, my therapist said. They're gates. You decide who gets access and on what terms. The most expensive lesson of my life became the most valuable. 1 year later, I stood on a bridge in Venice, watching the sunset paint the canals gold. This time, I wasn't alone. Dad stood beside me, camera in hand, capturing the light on ancient buildings. His first international trip at 79 years old. Your mother always wanted to see this, he said quietly. We kept saying next year until there were no more years. We planned this trip carefully, David managing Dad's care, medical clearances obtained, every detail arranged. The trip once canceled because of Lauren Bradley's lies, had become something better, a father-daughter journey neither of us had imagined. I got an email, Dad mentioned over dinner at a small trattoria. Lauren Bradley says she's in therapy now and wants to apologize. I'd received the same email, 3 pages of excuses disguised as apology. How hard her life had been, how unfair everything was, how she'd been driven to desperation. No real accountability, just softer manipulation. Did you respond? I asked. No, Dad said. David says any contact could reset the legal timeline. Besides, he raised his wine glass, I'm busy living my life. We toasted to that, to boundaries held, to trips finally taken, to relationships built on truth instead of guilt. My promotion led to another, then another. The Singapore project launched successfully. My career, freed from the constant financial and emotional drain, flourished beyond what I'd dreamed. But sitting in that little Venetian restaurant, watching Dad try gelato for the first time, laughing at his expression of wonder, that was the real victory. Not the money recovered or the promotions earned, but this moment of genuine connection, untainted by manipulation or crisis. Some prices are worth paying for freedom, I told Dad, thinking of everything the last year had cost and given. And some freedoms, he replied, are priceless. Thank you for staying until the end of my story. If you've ever struggled to set boundaries with toxic family members, know that you're not alone. Your peace of mind is worth far more than simply keeping the peace. What's the hardest boundary you've had to set with family? Share in the comments below. Your story might help someone else find their courage. If this story resonated with you, please like and subscribe for more content about standing up for yourself with dignity. And remember, family doesn't mean accepting financial abuse. Until next time, protect your peace.